Rachel had always been a light sleeper, prone to vivid dreams that lingered long after she woke. But this dream, it was different. It was darker, colder, and felt like it had an ominous weight to it. It started as it always did, her apartment, quiet and familiar. She was sitting on her couch, reading, when she heard a knock at the door. She wasn't expecting anyone, but the knock came again. "Rachel," it said, "let me in." Hesitant, she approached the door, hand trembling on the doorknob. Her pulse thudded in her ears as she opened it a crack. On the other side stood a figure, tall, cloaked in shadows, its face obscured by darkness. She could feel its presence, cold and malevolent. The voice came again, closer this time, whispering her name in a tone that sent chills down her spine. "Rachel, I've been waiting for you." The door slammed open, throwing her back into her apartment. The figure stepped in. Rachel stumbled back, terror flooding her. The figure didn't move. In an instant, it was gone. She blinked and found herself lying back on the couch, heart racing. The dream ended as abruptly as it had begun, and Rachel lay there, wide awake, still feeling the weight of the figure's gaze lingering in the room. She tried to shake it off as just another nightmare. The next few days were uneventful. However, as the days went on, something strange started happening. She began noticing odd things in her apartment, small things that were out of place. A picture frame turned slightly askew. The coffee mug she left on the counter was moved, its contents spilled. Then, one night, as she sat reading on the couch, the knock came again. Her heart skipped a beat. It was faint at first, just a soft tapping at the door, but then it grew louder. She froze, gripping the armrest as her blood ran cold. The same raspy voice from her dream echoed in her mind. "Rachel, let me in." Her breath hitched. She had to be imagining it, but everything about this felt wrong. Her body moved almost on its own. Slowly, she rose and walked toward it, her legs unsteady, her mind racing with fear. "Rachel," the voice called again, louder this time. "Open the door." She reached the door and hesitated, but something in her knew that opening it would be a mistake. The door rattled. Rachel backed away, heart pounding. She turned and ran down the hall, trying to find the phone, her hands trembling, her mind a mess of confusion and terror. The sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, echoing through the apartment. She wasn't alone. The figure from her dream, it was real. Desperate, she grabbed her phone and dialed 911. Her voice barely audible through the panic. "There's someone in my apartment. Please help me." But the line went dead. Static replaced the dial tone. She tried again, but the same result. Her heart racing. She ran toward the door, but as her hand reached for the handle, the lights went out. Then, the voice came again, close, too close. "Rachel," it whispered, a rasping breath against her ear. "I told you I was waiting for you." Rachel felt something cold wrap around her, squeezing the breath out of her lungs. The same shadowed figure from her dream, its face still obscured, but its presence suffocating her. "I told you, Rachel," it murmured. "You invited me in." It hadn't been a dream. The dream wasn't something that had happened in the past. It was a premonition. Every detail, every moment, it had been real. The knock at the door, the voice calling her name, it had all been a dark warning. The figure reached out, and just before it touched her, she hadn't been the victim in this nightmare. She was the one who had brought it into existence. Her own fear, her own thoughts had summoned it. And now, the nightmare was real.